James had spent the last 15 years pushing a mop across the sterile floors of the lunar transit station, watching ships come and go like metal birds migrating through the stars. He never imagined he'd own one himself, let alone inherit 3 dragon wives along with. The notification had arrived on a Tuesday, the kind of mundane day that made James question every life choice that had led him to scrubbing biodegradable waste from Dock 17. The holographic message materialized above his cleaning cart, displaying a symbol he hadn't seen since childhood. 3 interlocking circles surrounding a comet's tail. PO2's family crest. James Kovach, the message began in that peculiar whistling dialect of the Zephyrians. By the time you receive this, I will have transcended to the great stellar stream. As my bonded friend from the days when your kind first reached beyond your pale moon, I bequeath to you my most precious possessions, the starship Void Dancer and the care of my 3 life partners, Silthra, Vixara, and Renasha. They have agreed to this arrangement. Treat them with the honor they deserve, old friend. Your childhood oath still binds. James stood frozen, suds dripping from his mop. PO2, dead. The little alien who'd crashed in his backyard in rural Montana 30 years ago, who'd taught him to speak in frequencies humans shouldn't hear, who'd promised they'd explore the universe together someday, gone. The second shock came when he realized the dragon wives were arriving in 3 hours. Orla found him in the station's observation deck, staring at the docking manifests like they might offer escape. She worked intake processing, and they'd shared enough coffee break conversations for her to notice when James looked like reality had stopped making sense. You look like you've seen a ghost, she said, sliding into the seat beside him. Worse, I've inherited one. 3, actually. James showed her the message. Orla's green eyes widened as she read. Dragon wives? James, the Draconians are one of the oldest spacefaring species in the galaxy. They're basically royalty. And PO2 left you 3 of them? We made a blood oath when we were kids, James muttered. I didn't think it would hold up in intergalactic law. Everything holds up in intergalactic law if you use the right contracts, Orla said, her legal processing training kicking in. But why would PO2 do this? James remembered long nights in his father's barn. PO2's bioluminescent skin casting dancing shadows on the walls as they'd talked about honor, family, and the strange human concept of friendship that the Zephyrians found both primitive and profound. Because PO2 knew I'd never abandon them, James said quietly, even if I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. The Void Dancer docked with a grace that belied its massive size. The ship was a marvel of Zephyrian engineering, all flowing curves and crystalline viewports that seemed to capture and bend starlight into ribbons of color. James stood at the airlock with Orla beside him. She'd insisted on coming, claiming someone needed to make sure he didn't accidentally insult 3 dragon aliens. The airlock hissed open. The first to emerge was Silthra. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her scales shimmering in iridescent blues and silvers. Her eyes, ancient and intelligent, fixed on James with an intensity that made his knees weak. Behind her came Vixara, smaller but radiating coiled strength, her crimson scales catching the station's lights like rubies. Finally, Renasha appeared, golden and regal, with horns that curved back from her head like a crown. They were magnificent, terrifying. And apparently, his responsibility. Silthra spoke first, her voice a melodic rumble that vibrated through James's chest. James Kovach, PO2 spoke of you often. You are smaller than expected. I get that a lot, James managed. Vixara circled him slowly, her tail swishing behind her. The janitor. PO2 said you possessed the human quality called persistence, that you cleaned the same floors for 15 years without complaint. That this made you honorable. I wouldn't say without complaint, James said. Renasha laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a storm. He has humor. Good. PO2 also possessed this trait. It made the long voyages bearable. Her expression softened. You mourn our bonded. This is good. So do we. The formality broke then. 3 pairs of alien eyes met James's human ones, and in that moment, they weren't dragon wives and an inherited responsibility. They were fellow mourners united in loss. Orla stepped forward, her diplomatic instincts taking over. I'm Orla Chen, station processing. If I may ask, what happens now? Silthra regarded her with approval. Now James Kovach must decide. He may accept the inheritance and PO2's final wish, that we continue our mission together, or he may release us to return to our homeworld. The choice, as PO2 insisted, must be his. James looked at the Void Dancer through the viewport. He looked at 3 dragon aliens who'd crossed the galaxy in grief. He looked at Orla, who raised an eyebrow as if to say, "What are you waiting for?" He thought of 15 years pushing a mop. 15 years watching other people's adventures through scratched viewports. 15 years since PO2 had left Earth, promising they'd meet again among the stars. "What was your mission?" James asked. Vixara's eyes gleamed. "To map the uncharted sectors beyond the heliopause divide. To discover what wonders exist in the spaces between known worlds. PO2 believed humans should be part of this, that your species, for all its youth, possessed a reckless curiosity that would complement our ancient caution." "A janitor in space," James said, testing the words. Then stronger. "A janitor who knows how to fix things, maintain systems, and keep going when everything else breaks down." Rinasha smiled, revealing sharp teeth. PO2 chose well. James extended his hand, an old Earth gesture. One by one, the dragon wives touched their clawed hands to his. The Void Dancer hummed to life behind them, responding to its new captain's acceptance. Orla grabbed his arm. "You're really doing this?" 15 years, Orla. 15 years of waiting for permission to live." James grinned. "I think PO2 just gave it to me." As the station prepared the Void Dancer for departure, James Kovach, former janitor, inheritor of stars, and guardian of 3 dragon wives, took his first steps toward the ship that would carry him beyond everything he'd ever known. His childhood oath, it turned out, was just beginning.